Much to the chagrin of all the haters and the losers, Kirk JEROME Ezekiel Cousins is the Vikings quarterback in 2023. He does give them the best chance to win games and do some damage this season as well. And it truly is frick around and find out time. And Kirk Cousins last year, I think he took a major step in his development. Yes, he's still developing at 34. Hey, we still grow and show even as we get old, man, in terms of quarterback years, absolutely. And him and Kevin O'Connell, Kwesi adofo-mensah, they hitched their wagons together. 1-year extension last offseason through 2023, and Kirk rewarded their loyalty by becoming Kirk Cousins, all that stuff. But what's interesting right now is the Vikings are at an impasse. All offseason, Kwesi, Kevin O'Connell, Mark Wilf, they're all like, we're looking forward to Kirk Cousins this year. There wasn't talk about a long-term extension in the media, and the Vikings had an opportunity to potentially trade up for a quarterback or just take Will Levis at 23. They balked, and they still took Jaren Hall in the 5th round, but it's tough to say right now if he's going to be the quarterback of the future. So they're in a little bit of limbo, and Kirk Cousins, he's fine. He's fine betting on himself in a contract year. Kevin Seifert, who is not Carl Gerbschmidt, go. Kirk Cousins says he hasn't had further contract talks with the Vikings since the side agreed this spring not to do an extension, and he doesn't expect any talks until next March when his deal expires. Kirk, until then, just focus on the season and the job to do right now. And Kirk's basically been in a contract year his entire time. 2 franchise tags with Washington, sort of been year by year here with the Vikings, absent that first 3-year deal. And I think that he does thrive in this spot. And from the reports this offseason, Kirk and his side were looking for a long-term deal. The Vikings were more open to a 1-year Band-Aid deal. They couldn't find that middle ground. So here we are. And I think Kirk is betting on himself. And it's not too bad of a bet. And also, it gets a little bit more convoluted because you could be like, well, we'll just franchise tag Kirk next year if he plays well. Well, doesn't quite work out. So this is from Pro Football Talk. Cousins' current contract doesn't include a clause preventing the Vikings from tagging him. It doesn't have to. Per a source with knowledge of the deal, the contract voids after the deadline for applying the franchise tag. In other words, Cousins won't be on track to be a free agent when the Vikings have the ability to tag him. Only after the window for using the tag closes will Cousins' contract expire. Even without the clause, it will be difficult for Vikings to tag him since Washington's already tagged him twice, so a third tag is like $11 bajillion. They estimate the result of the tender at $52.2 million, which is kind of hilarious. So yeah, basically the options with the Vikings and Kirk Cousins after this season is they have to extend him or they got to let him go. And if they do let him go, his void year dead cap of $28.5 million all comes due in 2024. The Vikings do have around $19 million in cap space this year. They're estimated to have about $38 million next year. So I mean, it could be a little bit tight. It could not be. I don't know. But also, next year's salary cap figure does take into account Kirk Cousins' dead cap hit. So we'll see there. But I understand what Kirk is doing because he's seeing some of the insane quarterback numbers being thrown out there. And, Kirk's been a guy that's been about the money. Let's be honest here. But also his play last year is starting to sync up with his level of compensation. So this year he's due about $35 million in new comp, which is 13th in the league. And guys like Lamar and Jalen Hurts and, of course, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson getting paid over the last 2 seasons. I mean, I'm sure that sticks in the back of his head. And Kirk, you could honestly make a good case, played better than Lamar, obviously, because Lamar was hurt last year. Rodgers, Russell Wilson, obviously, Kyler Murray because he got hurt, and even before Kyler was hurt, better than Watson, even because Watson was suspended. So, yeah, you can make a very good case that Kirk Cousins deserves to be paid like a top-tier quarterback, especially if he does replicate his success last season, where Kirk was 4th in the league in passing, tied for 8th in PFF grade, tied for 5th in passing touchdowns, 8 fourth quarter come from behind game-winning drives that we've talked about quite a bit, 13 wins. Tied for the most in his career. Also won the division for the first time as a Viking, and also he did it with the 31st ranked defense. Plus, he had career highs in pressures and sacks. So, wasn't getting a ton of help from the offensive line or the other side of the ball. And, yeah, we talked about, like, everyone likes to blame, Kirk on 4th and 8, blah, blah, blah. Again, if your quarterback Goes 31 to 39 for 273, 2 touchdowns, 85 QBR out of 100, a 112.9 quarterback rating, and also runs in a touchdown. That should be good enough to win, as opposed to your defense giving up 431 and 31 points to Daniel frickin' Jones. All that stuff, man. But Kevin O'Connell and Kirk Cousins, year 2. That chemistry is working, man. The continuity is going to be really big. Again, this is the first time in Kirk Cousins' Vikings tenure since he came aboard in 2018 that he's had the same offensive play caller 2 years in a row. So don't sleep on that. And Kirk does turn 34. Well, he is 34. He turns 35 in August. But let's not forget, Rich Gannon, former Vikings legend, the one that got away, won the NFL MVP award in 2002 at age 37. Age 37. And what happened with Gannon, who had been a bit of a journeyman, a bit of a marginal starter, more of a backup, he ended up in Oakland with Gruden and Callahan, and then guess what? Things just took off because he had continuity. And people say, like, oh, we hear Jerry Rice and Tim Brown. He had the leftovers of Jerry Rice and Tim Brown. Both of them were old as hell, but he got into the right system, and even at an advanced age, he played at MVP level. Does that sound familiar? Does that sound kind of familiar? Because the offensive line will be good to go. You have Addison, you have Hawkinson, of course you have Justin frickin' Jefferson, and you have year 2 with Kevin O'Connell, just really calibrating what Kirk does well after a career season. So I understand why Kirk is betting on himself, because I think Kirk is set up to get paid, whether here or somewhere else, especially if he does take the Vikings to the promised land. I mean, if Kirk Cousins wins a Super Bowl this year, I will name... The wife and I will have another kid, and we'll just name it Kirk. I don't care if it's a boy or a girl. We're going to name it Kirk. That's right, man. That's right. Anyways, your thoughts are thoughts. Kirk Cousins betting on himself in a contract year. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.